I'm Dan Steenkamer for WHYY Young Journalists, and I'm outside the Immigrations and Custom Enforcement building in Philadelphia at the Occupy ICE protest. For the past 5 days, activists from around Philadelphia have gathered at the ICE building on 8th and Cherry Streets to protest the president's current immigration policies. By setting up tents on the sidewalk of the building, protesters effectively blocked ICE vehicles from leaving or entering.
We're out here obviously because of the recent news events where children are being separated from their families at the border. We're taking direct action through an act of civil disobedience to blockade these doors you can see here that the ICE vans come out to deport people from.
No parents wants to go through the process of being separated from their children. So we have seen this has put a light on the humanity of the issue.
There's a moral question at hand. And that's the reason why folks are going to such extreme lengths as calling for the abolishment of ICE, because there is not a care for morals now. There's not a care for righteousness. There's not a care for real justice. And so when there is not a care, then the people who do have a sense of justice and morality must stand up and say something about that.
The protesters stood for 3 main goals.
This is simple. This is not hard. We must end PARS, shut down Burks, and abolish ICE. And while you're at it, get that president out the White House.
To end deportations and abolish ICE.
ICE arrests have skyrocketed across the country, but here we stand in front of the most aggressive ICE office in the country.
What you have behind you is the most active and arguably the most brutal ICE agency in the country. They arrest more immigrants without criminal histories than any other department in the country, serving a tri-state area.
To shut down the Berks County Detention Center in Pennsylvania, which holds undocumented immigrant families.
We called for the closure of the Berks Detention Facility, which remains open despite being a site of torture and unnecessary imprisonment for undocumented immigrants.
And to end the controversial agreement between the Philadelphia Police Force and ICE over the Preliminary Arrangement Reporting System, also known as PARS, which allows ICE to access information on undocumented immigrants.
What we have to do is stop sharing our city's residential data with an agency whose main purpose is to deport people, most of whom have done nothing wrong, who present no harm to anybody whatsoever.
ICE can see the data of people, and they are coming to people's homes to arrest them, and the city still has the license open, and it's up for renewal on August 31st. So we are hopeful that Mayor Kenny and District Attorney Krasner will be able to end that license and not give access to ICE anymore.
Pearl Kim, a Republican running for the 5th Congressional District, shared her own views on ICE.
That, ICE was in essence created to deal with a lot of the global threats to our American soil, and I think that that is an important purpose of ICE. I certainly think that ICE should prioritize our limited resource and focus on picking up individuals that are dangerous and are a concern to our public safety.
On July 5th, police mounted on bikes moved barricades in towards the protesters in an effort to disperse them. Those who failed to disperse were knocked down with the barricades and arrested. Their tent city was seized by the police and subsequently destroyed in garbage trucks.
Everyone has the right to protest, but I think the most important thing is peaceful protest. And so my concern with what happened in Philadelphia was that certain protesters were blocking the entryway to the building, and that would be a concern for me. But again, as long as it's peaceful protest, I do believe everyone has a right to do that.
The protesters have since relocated to City Hall, with a greater emphasis on pressuring Mayor Kenny not to renew the PARS agreement.
Essentially the massive police presence at 8th and Cherry Street. We decided to come here specifically to focus on the PARS issue, because that's something that Mayor Kenny can promise to change. He has refused to make that promise thus far.
For WHYY Young Journalists, I'm Dan Steenkamer.